prominent end on the periphery is where we belong.
Shalaya, look what you got me into.
See this Shalaya, Kipp?
At least we're not like the Miami Heat and have to like.
All right, well, we're going to begin. I'll just introduce the table to everybody, just in case you don't know. We have head coach Mark Wetmore, Emma Coburn, Shalaya Kipp, and of course, associate head cross-country coach Heather Burroughs. And they'll just take your questions. Fire away. John?
Mark, absent the time to do a lot of research, how unusual is it or rare for two athletes on the same collegiate team to qualify for the Olympics in the same event?
I've never seen it before. It's pretty rare for a single collegian to make it from a team. In 2008, Coach Burroughs, what were there, about 5 maybe collegians on the 2008 Beijing team?
Probably half a dozen.
I've never seen 2 from the same event.
So how did that happen, Coach?
A confluence of luck, talent, and environment that 2 people, I won't say equally talented, because talent packages can vary greatly, but in the end, it adds up to Olympic level talent. 2 people of that talent at the same school at the same time is pretty rare. And then, of course, Boulder and CU are excellent places, are excellent for a person to become a distance runner. So a lot of things came together for that to happen, but that it's that rare means, that it doesn't happen that often. It's just a rare, rare combination.
Emma and Shalaya, did you guys, when you came to CU, did you guys envision running the steeplechase, or did that happen once you got here? How did your, path to running the steeplechase start?
We're a little different. I had done it a handful of times in high school, and it was the only event that I ever had done well at a national level in high school. So I thought that I would do the steeplechase, and I think Shalaya has a much different story.
Yeah, when I came to Colorado, I didn't really know what the steeplechase was. I still thought it was a horse event. But through Jenny Behringer, now Jenny Simpson, I kind of learned what the steeplechase was. I watched Emma do it, and then Coach Mark Wetmore approached me about trying it, and I tried it out, and it seemed to be a good fit.
Is it a race that you can love? It seems pretty grueling.
Yeah, it's different than any other race. That it's been really fun.
So what is the days since you both qualified for the Olympics, what has that time been like for you guys?
Well, I've never been to Las Vegas, but I keep telling people that it feels like I went to Vegas for the weekend and am kind of in a daze and woke up. And it's kind of been a blur so far, and it's what I think people forget is that we still have a lot of work ahead of us, and that we still have races to do, and we still have training to be done. So it's not just this big celebratory time in our lives right now. We're both really happy and appreciative of the fact that we made it, but it's still business for us.
Emma, I think you went home for the weekend. How was that?
Yeah, I think I was just ready to have an emotional break from everything for a little bit. So I got to go home for 2 days, and it was great. I love Crested Butte, and if anyone has ever been there in the summer, it's the most beautiful place I've ever been. And so yesterday I got to do a long run out there, and I was kind of hurting up at 9,000 feet, but then I put my head up and looked around, and I couldn't complain because it was just beautiful. So that was a nice way to hit the refresh button and just get ready to focus towards the summer of racing ahead and just start back over.
How does it help you guys to have, I guess, two people heading for the Olympics who are all the same teams, go to the same school, or as close as you guys? How does that help your preparation for that?
It probably helps me the most because I get to learn so much from Emma. She has the international experience. She's always telling me little things I need to know. And then in practice, I get to follow her off water jumps. She has beautiful form. So I really benefit from having Emma as a teammate.
And I would say the opposite. I probably benefit more because although I do have more steeplechase experience and more international experience from last summer, Shalaya is just very talented, strong runner. And in practice, 6 other days of the week that we're not doing a steeple workout, she's ahead of me or we're shoulder to shoulder. And I think we push each other pretty well, and we get along really well too. So it's just nice to have a friend and teammate next to you on a 15-mile long run while you're in pain. And then even in steeplechase stuff, she's a yard behind me, so I can't let up in anything. So that helps me also.
I know, Shalaya, you had referenced Jenny running this race years ago and kind of putting CU on the map, and that now CU's starting to get the moniker of steeplechase U. Did it start with Jenny, and is her presence, or I guess her experience in the event, sort of filtered down to new runners who come here? Is it kind of starting to become steeplechase U?
Yeah, you start to hear people reference CU as the steeple dynasty. Maybe that's just because our coaches are so well involved with the steeplechase. Maybe CU's just been lucky. I'm not really sure.
Coach, what do you think about that moniker of steeplechase U? Is there something that
You take it.
is there something you look for in athletes? Are you recruiting kids specifically for that event? Are you looking for something specific?
Well, the steeplechase is rarely run in high school. I think there's only one state, and it's New York, that sponsors it. So we rarely get to see steeplechase talent in high school, and it's usually after they get here. We're looking for certain qualities or aspects of their personality that might make them good at the steeple. Jenny, I think, was the first CU athlete to have remaining eligibility and make an international team. And so she's been an important part of building our steeplechase tradition. But we had several NCAA contenders prior to her, such as Steve Slattery and Billy Nelson, who was a 2008 Olympian. So we've had several individuals over the last 10 years who have helped grow that event for us.
Do you recruit kids when you go and you're looking at high school runners? Do you talk to kids about coming here and running the steeplechase since they don't have much experience about it? And how does that conversation go? Because some of these kids probably look at it and go, I'm not running that.
Yeah, again, many of them have very little familiarity with it. So if we're talking to them about our current success, the steeplechase usually comes up, and some are very intrigued with it, and some are terrified of it and have absolutely no interest in it. So it often comes up in conversation, but a lot happens their freshman year as we watch them and see if they might be a good match for that event.
For Heather and Mark, what do you have these two work on in the time preceding the trip to London?
Despite the fact that they're both Olympians and at the trials they ran within 3 seconds of each other, every athlete is a unique talent package, and each has to be developed uniquely. Emma has her strengths in the event, which are different from Shalaya's. So while they will have some similar workouts, they'll also have some different workouts, and they'll have, more importantly or more accurately, different focuses to the workout. I've been quoted as comparing them to different generations of Formula One racing cars. In the early 90s, Formula One racing cars had up to 12 cylinders and at least 1,000 horsepower and maybe secretly 1,200. Safety regulations and cost-cutting regulations have dialed that back to V8s and 750 horsepower, but the cars are just as fast 20 years later due to aerodynamic changes. So Emma's impeccable technically, And Shalaya has a 1,200 horsepower engine, and Shalaya, how many times did you guys race in cross-country? 5 times? Over 6,000 meters, and I think Shalaya was 5-0. And so there's the difference. They come in different talent packages, they need different developments, and while we're working on Shalaya's aerodynamics, we're working on Emma's horsepower.
Shalaya, you've run quite a bit over the last 2 months. Are you still feel fresh and exuberant?
Yeah, they were definitely steps I needed to take to get to this level first. Just starting basically with winning my first Pac-12 championship in the steeplechase to NCAA. All those races were necessary, and now I'm hoping I'm getting a second wind, and I'll be ready in August.
Talk about you guys' emotion when you guys at the Olympic trials, when you qualified. I know I saw an interview with you, Emma, where you couldn't even talk. You were so emotional, and the look on Shalaya's face when you realized that you qualified was priceless. Just talk about your guys' emotions. If you can go back to that day when you realized you both had made it, and what you might have said to each other.
I think, again, we had different experiences. I went in pretty much, I knew that if I didn't make the team, it would have been a major failure for me personally. So I went in to the trials like it was a business trip, and I had a job to do, and I got it done, and there were very little emotions involved leading up to the race, through the end of the race, the victory lap, everything, because that was just what was supposed to happen on paper and what I had been working for. And then it wasn't until 30 minutes later or something, I mean, John saw me, that I don't even know what sparked me up. I think he just asked how the race went or something, and I just broke down and couldn't stop sobbing. And Shalaya saw me crying and thought that they had told me that somebody had died, because that's how emotional I was. And I think, although I had a business trip in mind and I completed my job, I think I hadn't let the emotions of being an Olympian get in my head, and then it got there and it sunk in that moment. And yeah, I kind of had an emotional minute there, but after that I was okay.
Yeah, I'd say going into the trials, I tried not to think that these are the Olympic trials. Once you're in a race, I just wanted to race people and beat people. And then once you cross the finish line and realize what everything now is going to happen, I was pretty excited.
For Mark or Heather, Shalaya just addressed her readiness to compete, having compete outdoors with the team. But one of the reasons you had Emma redshirt indoor and outdoor was so that you could peak at the Olympics and do something special, as you mentioned a month ago. What can you expect from Shalaya, given that, because Emma's last year felt that she wasn't able to do what she would have been capable of doing at World Championships because of the NCAA season. What about Shalaya?
Well, Shalaya ran 9:35 in the finals of the Olympic trials to make the team, and I think it took about 9:40 to make the finals of the World Championships last year, which is a comparable meet typically. But an Olympic year brings new motivations and aspirations, and on a world level, women are running faster this year. And I think it's going to take about 10 seconds faster to make the finals. So our goal for Shalaya will be to be ready to run a personal best and be in contention of making the finals. That would be an enormous achievement for her. Probably on paper right now, she wouldn't make the finals. And so our goal will be to maybe upset those rankings and have her ready to come close or make it.
I probably didn't know that very well, but Emma was a little burned out by the time she got to the final in Daegu last year. Are you worried that Shalaya will be too, or can you bring her back to where she's ready to run well, or her best?
Yeah, I'd say historically, most people have a difficult time in their first championship, world or Olympic championships. It's a whole new level of stress and attention, often 12 or 15 hours time difference. So across event areas, professionals or collegians, it's difficult to run your best at that meet. Shalaya will have had a long season of racing that most of her competitors won't have had, but we've tried to be very careful in the hopes that she'd make this team and feel a little bit more prepared than Emma was a year ago.
We dialed back the indoor season for Shalaya. I think she only raced 2 races indoors. Emma probably did a few more than that the year before. But you're exactly right. It's a long haul from the beginning of cross-country racing to the end of the Olympic Games, which is 11 months later. A lot of people don't get it that distance runners in the NCAA might begin racing on very early September and certainly end in middle June, and in some cases go beyond. So managing the momentum of it and the excitement of it is what Heather gets paid a lot of money to do.
Emma and Shalaya, of course, you guys are looking forward to the event that you're going to be participating in, but now that you are Olympians, what, I guess, are you most looking forward to outside of the event? Opening ceremonies, all that other kind of fanfare that comes with being an Olympian on top of that?
I think it's the Ralph Lauren opening ceremonies outfit.
Those are nice. Those are definitely nice. I mean, it's going to be an experience to get to be part of the opening ceremonies, but from what I've heard from past Olympians is that it's 6 hours of standing, and you don't get water, and it's not torture, but kind of. So honestly, I think Shalaya and I are both just excited for the racing of it, and it's an honor to be an Olympian, and it's something that we're both proud of to have on our resumes, in the next coming years. But I think we're mainly in the next several months just excited to race, and it's trying to do our best to ignore everything else and the fanfare and the excitement. That's going to be our toughest job, I think.
Emma, you said that the Olympic trials went for you kind of how they should have on paper. How should the Olympics go on paper?
We haven't talked much about it. I think this might be a better question for my coaches. In Daegu, I made the final. I ran within a second of my PR to get to the final, so I think if I can run within a second of my PR, I can make the final again. So that's my primary goal, is to make the final. And then after that, a personal best would be nice, and just race my guts out, see what happens. I think if you look at the descending order list, medal is way too far in the distance for that to be a goal of ours in the next coming months. But I think just finishing better than my 12th finish last year and getting a PR and making the final would be a success for me.
Are there any other questions?
Have you allowed yourself to think about medal? You say it's kind of far out there, but have you just in your mind maybe slipped off that and thought what it might be like to medal?
No. I'm trying to stay focused on what I know I can achieve, and I think if either of us were to dream beyond what is attainable, it wouldn't work out. I think we'd both fail. So we're just focused on what we know we can do and what we've done in the past, and I think that's the best way to go into it.
Does it feel like a little bit of a no-pressure situation, though? In the sense that all you have to do is go out and do your best, but you're not expected to win a medal. You're not, the pressure you felt at the trials, where you're expected to win. Is it a little bit less, can you enjoy this more because there's a little less pressure?
I enjoyed the trials. I have never had a breakdown from being a favorite. That doesn't bother me. But anytime I've raced in an international field, it is kind of nice to just get to sit behind some people and race hard and see what happens. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But, yeah, the pressure of being looked at and a favorite doesn't bother me.
Either of you guys talked to Jenny, because she experienced the Olympics in '08 as a CU student. With either of you, and I know you were in her weddings and you're close with Jenny, will either of you guys talk to her and get some advice about how to deal with a first Olympics?
Well, our coach, Billy Nelson, was also in the Olympics in 2008. So we see him every day. He's our coach. We train with him. So he's probably our go-to for advice. And Mark and Heather have also had a lot of experience with that. So I think that will be our source for most of our information. But yeah, I'm sure we'll see Jenny there, and she's always supportive of us. And so maybe she'll has a tip to handle it, but I think Billy Nelson has us under control.
This is obviously a historic achievement for this program and this university. Can you just talk, both of you, about how you feel about being part of it?
Yeah, especially with CU's history, I know a lot of the success here should be given to the coaches. The coaches are a big part of that. I know if I had gone to any other program or any other school, I would not be training right now to go compete on an Olympic team. So I think a lot of it's definitely the coaches.
Any other questions? All right, if not, I'm just gonna bring Mike Bone up here real quick for a little send-off for our Olympians.
As we turn off the cameras, there's a lot of people in this room that really support you as Buffs, and